Welcome, MAGE 2023. We greatly appreciate Iowa Western Community College putting this on for the city of Omaha and Council Bluffs. I am a host of Wired Axess Podcast. It's a part of the Herdat Sports production, DJ K-Dub Omaha. To my left, though, I do have the Associate Athletic Director, Ian Alumbaugh of Iowa Western Community College. And then to his left, I have fellow co-host, Game-Tea Podcast, Zar and JP. Thank you, fellas, for hanging out with us today here at MAGE 2023. Ian, I see a ring on that finger. I've had some of your esports gamers on my podcast.
Awesome.
To know that you guys at esports are gaining the same respect that you do for regular sports, how does that help and how does it make it harder because it's still gaming to some people?
I mean, the pressure's on for sure, because that was one of the things that when I formed the program with Iowa Western is I knew the history. I was a student at Iowa Western. I was a former player, so I was a part of the football team in 2009, and now the football team's one nationally recognized programs. And then I was a part of a playoff running women's basketball program as a coach. So I know the history of what Iowa Western has and the standard and the excellence that they have. So that was one of those pressures I had, is I'm like, I expect us to be at that same level, that same caliber. So that was what I challenged my players really early on, in saying that I want to get to this level as quick as possible. So I was honestly pretty lucky, because I had a really good player in Tony Murphy, who's a Smash player, win the national championship in our first semester. And then our gunfight team really took off and was runner-up our first semester, and then they won back-to-back national championships last year. They're looking really good to repeat potentially this year. Now I stepped aside. I'm no longer in the esports realm, but I oversee them in the associate athletic position, and I'm really excited to see what they can do and hopefully bring home more.
What's it been like integrating esports into the athletics department?
And actually, it hasn't been as bad as people would think. I mean, and I say that because we have a very supportive athletic staff. Like the support network and our administration is next to none in supporting new opportunities. And they saw the void almost in like the gaming element and wanting to push more towards it. They were actually looking to form like I always kind of say esports kind of exploded when COVID happened, just because the popularity went to a whole nother level because there wasn't anything to do other than video games.
We couldn't get together, so we all had to get together remotely.
Yeah, right. You found other opportunities and avenues, and colleges took advantage of that, but Iowa Western was actually already in the process forming that before that happened. Like they had said that we need to look into this market, and then that expedited the process, and that's why things happened quicker or much sooner than they were expecting. But they wanted to establish the program on that note and making sure that we're building a legacy, and then that the whole athletic department is basically surrounded on that. And part of me before I was a director of esports, but I was also the assistant athletic director. So I was around athletics. I was there all the time, and that was just the nature of it. And like some of the rings that I'm wearing actually are the other sports that do great stuff. And I told my players that, I'm like, I encourage you guys to be a part of them, or to support their programs, to be there, be a presence, because then they're going to support you on Twitch. They're not going to be in the arena cheering you on necessarily, but they're going to be in the chat hyping up. And then when you're going back and you're watching the lives and you see the chat happening, it's a good thing.
Love that. I love that. Something you said just really hit me hard. There was a void for video games that needed to be filled.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
I have a few thoughts like that every now and then.
Yeah, just like that's beautiful. Yeah, and I think one of the most fascinating things about you is the fact that, you know, you have actually coached and been a part of like many other quote unquote normal sports, like coaching football and others, on top of also having the experience as an esports coach. I guess my question for you then is, what are the most considerable like similarities and differences between an esports competition as opposed to like, you know, a football game or whatever have you?
Well, I think traditional athletics has actually changed quite a bit. And because like 10, 15 years ago, it was a lot of physical. It was like, how much stronger can you get? Stronger will make you better. But then in the most recent years, in the last like 5-10 years, even in research, they found that the psychological part of the game is so much more important. And that's the most relevant thing in esports. I mean, if we all had a contest of who can click the A button faster, it'd probably be pretty close. But with the pressure of like having to click the A button as fast as possible, who would be best on deal with that? So handling the pressure, handling stressful situations, troubleshooting, little things like that. I mean, that was one of the things that I always said as an esports coach, that I didn't really coach much different, because I coached the way that I coach traditional athletics, because I worked on your psychological side a lot more. And I always told my players that, like, I'm terrible at video games. Like, I'd be the first one to admit that. And they were trying to get me to play Smash Roll. Kind of like,
you ain't making a fool of me.
They're like, you don't want to see this. But that's what I always said, is you're going to be able to improve your game based off of you practicing, working with like-minded players. I'm going to be able to help you with your psychological, the way you're thinking, is your pressure, or dealing with pressure, dealing with adversity.
Gotcha.
And one of the success stories I'll talk about was actually our Mario Kart national champion that we had. And I mean, he's still a part of the esports program, and he's not here anymore, so I can say it. But I really didn't coach him much on Mario Kart. Like, he had the skill. He had that level of being a national champion. And I think it was like week 3 or 4, and he was struggling. Like, he was just self-destructing. He was hitting his own banana peel. He was hitting his own green shell. I'm like, dude, focus on yourself. Stop trying to attack them.
Yeah.
That was him.
But something awesome just happened over there.
But that was all I told him. I said, dude, play the track. Focus on yourself. That was all I said. And it like transformed his season. He went from being a good Mario Kart player to being a great Mario Kart player, and having a very good chance of potentially repeating as a national champion this year.
Right on. All right, so I always have to ask a crazy question along with just my normal question. Now, I already know as an esports guy, you clearly love the PC. Big fan of the PC, love the PC. I want to talk about the other consoles, though. They deserve a little love at this competition, too. If I put a PlayStation 5, an Xbox Series X, and the brand new OLED Nintendo Switch in front of you, and you can only pick one to play until the next console generation, what are you picking up and why?
OLED.
The Switch! Wow.
That was an easy one. My guys already know all that. Like, I've always been a diehard Nintendo fan. Like, since I grew up with it. My older brother was really big in the, like, retro Mario on the NES. I kind of transitioned into SNES days, and then N64 all the way to GameCube. Then I got the Wii, then the Wii U, then the Switch, the Switch OLED. Like, I have literally got every console Nintendo's made.
And it's funny because I could even tell, I almost knew what the answer was going to be because of an anecdote you told earlier about hitting the A button. I'm like, well, clearly he's not a PlayStation. That's a great read. That is great. It's what I do, but no. And also, you admitting, oh, I'm not good at video games. I'm like, Switch. So
no,
he's playing Fortnite on the Switch.
No, I'm actually, one of my favorite games is Pokemon, which is not ashamed to say that. My gamer tag is Fonter. So yeah, it's one of those that I was a closet fan of Pokemon, because when I was in high school, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool yet. But now it's like,
well, yeah. I mean, if you're a football player and all that, you can't like those things.
Yeah, I can't know that they're on my DS. I'm playing Pokemon X. I mean,
dropped his duffel bag in the locker room one day. A bunch of Pokemon cards fell out. He's like, I'm just holding these for a friend. They're not mine.
Hey, I got a base set Charizard, so I'm
no kidding.
Proof. Yes. But I've always been passionate about that game, and that's one of the things. So, like, DLC's coming out, so I guess it's a pretty easy answer for me to say Nintendo, but all the consoles are great consoles. Like, just the opportunity to be able to play video games, period, is what's most important. No matter what, if it's a Switch, if it's a PlayStation, if it's an Xbox, I don't hate any of the consoles. Like, that's one of the things I always, like, you have those like, oh, gotta go Xbox because I hate PlayStation. It's like, I'm not like, I've never been.
What about the Google Stadia?
What about? I mean,
say that again loud.
No, I mean, we have a good partnership with Google, so
I just not out the card. I just not pulling out the card like we love the Google Stadia. It's the best console.
I'm just not familiar with it. So,
exactly.
But back to the old, I'm just a classic Nintendo guy.
That's fair, man. That's fair.
All right, I'm gonna forego my original question. Who is your favorite Pokemon starter?
Ooh.
Oh, starter. Starters only.
You opened Pandora's box when you said you're a Pokemon fan.
Man, now you're going for hours. Now you got me thinking. I mean, I gotta go classic. I started with Pokemon Red.
Okay, that's fine.
Because there was a big red lizard on the box. I love it. I was Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard all the way through. I've had them on every single Pokemon game I've had.
Yeah.
They're usually on my Elite 14. So,
Fine. Fair enough.
like, but obviously, favorite Pokemon's Haunter.
Haunter? That's a solid
That's one of those things when I was young, when Pokemon first came out, my brother and I actually, when online, like, web pages were brand new.
Yeah.
My brother's Gengar, I'm Haunter. So if you go on Twitch, I am Haunter. I'm not Haunter.1265.
Just Haunter?
I am Haunter.
That's crazy, actually.
And then,
The OG of OG.
Yeah. To be honestly, that's hard to guess.
and then my brother is Gengar.
Just Gengar.
Just Gengar. If you search Gengar,
No number.
So,
on Twitch.
not underscore 8269 Batman symbol. Just
I'm sorry.
All right. While Zar is checking this one, we again are welcoming Associate Athletic Director Ian Alumbaugh. So I have to get you out on this. You talked about sociology, and you talked about that aspect. Being an esports coach, now being an athletic director, what's the message that you hope that you can get out to a parent or that your coaches can, so they can understand what esports means to Iowa Western? Because I just don't think the message gets to parents enough from what we grew up with, where they are like, I can't believe you're on the game. I can't believe on your game. How important is your message from you and your coaches to the public, parent, or student to understand how important esports is to the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of life skills that you can learn from esports. And that's one of the things that doing research in medical professions and everything like that have proven, that being a part of a team, being a part of an atmosphere of improving, you wanting to get better, improve your life skills, improve your social skills. And little things like that are what I tell parents when they're skeptical about it. Like I said previously, I was a head bowling coach, which is a very similar battle, because people are like, you're getting a scholarship for bowling? And I'm like, yes, I am giving them an opportunity to further their education, to better their life, to get this degree and bowl. And it's the same way now, that I am giving them a scholarship, giving them an opportunity, getting them in class, getting them something to shoot for, even if it's as simple as stay eligible. I am giving them the incentive to want to stay involved and stay active, stay healthy, focus on doing the right things. And that's just the way that I've always presented it. And the staff that I had previously, and most of them on the higher positions, including the new director of esports at Iowa Western, is my former assistant. He's doing the same he has the same message of like growth through opportunity, and being able to realize that it's here. Like, the world of esports is happening. Like,
You either jump on or jump off. I mean, it's that simple. Once again, we have Zar and JP of Game-Tea Podcast. I'm DJ K-Omaha of Wired Axess Podcast. I can't say a better message from Iowa Western Community College, especially for them bringing MAGE 2023. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.